Today is Monday, September 8th. We're talking about a historic immigration raid at the site of a major investment project in Georgia. Also, the story of the first millennial saint and plans for former President Biden's presidential library. Plus, a first-of-its-kind settlement over AI and copyrights, an offer that could make Elon Musk the world's first trillionaire, and the performances, tributes, and awards that stole the show at last night's VMAs. Those stories and even more news to know coming up. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. The U.S. completed the largest ever immigration raid at a single site. Nearly 500 people were arrested at an electric vehicle battery plant in Georgia. It's owned by South Korean companies Hyundai and LG. And the factory represented the kind of investment the U.S. has welcomed from South Korea in recent years. But after a months-long investigation, American immigration officials say they found hundreds of workers from South Korea who were working or living in the U.S. illegally. Most were not employees of Hyundai or LG, but were subcontractors hired to finish the plant's construction. Well, yesterday, South Korean government officials announced they reached a deal with the U.S. to free the workers and fly them back to their home country. As of this morning, none of the workers are facing criminal charges. South Korea's foreign minister is headed to the U.S. today to hash out the details. He's also expected to push for changes to the U.S. visa system for Korean workers sent to help American investment projects. When President Trump was asked whether he was worried his immigration agenda could be clashing with his economic goals, he said no matter what, immigration officials have to do their jobs and told companies to only bring their employees here legally. His border czar, Tom Homan, says more worksite raids like this will be coming. Hyundai and LG say they're launching their own investigations as well. Over the weekend, Russia launched its largest ever air attack on Ukraine. It lasted hours, including more than 800 drones and 13 missiles. The main Ukrainian government building in Kyiv was hit for the first time and set on fire. Drones also struck several residential buildings, killing at least 4 people and hurting dozens more. Plus, Russia continues to inch forward on the front lines of the war in Ukraine's east and south. Of course, this comes even after President Trump's recent efforts to try to broker a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. So now Trump says he's ready to impose more sanctions on Russia and that he'll be speaking with Russian President Putin very soon. The European Union also says it's working on more sanctions for Russia and security guarantees for Ukraine. Stay tuned. The U.S. is apparently close to some kind of solution in Gaza. That's at least what President Trump told reporters last night, though there aren't many details out about a potential deal just yet. Earlier in the day, the president wrote on Truth Social that it's time for Hamas to accept the terms for a deal to release all Israeli hostages. Trump called it his last warning. Hamas responded by saying it wants a clear announcement that the war in Gaza is over, and then it will send the hostages back to Israel. But at least in the past, the terror group has had a long list of demands, many of which were non-starters for Israel. And for now, Israel is only stepping up the war, especially in Gaza City, where it says Hamas terrorists are hiding. The Israeli military leveled a high-rise tower there yesterday, where hundreds of displaced Palestinians were staying. Another high-rise that was a prominent local landmark was destroyed on Friday, and it was surrounded by a tent encampment of displaced people. Israeli officials said Hamas also used the tower for military activities. Already, Israel says it controls half of Gaza City, and it plans to keep going until Hamas is defeated or a ceasefire deal is reached. Japan's prime minister announced he's stepping down after less than a year in the role, putting another key American ally into political uncertainty. His party has actually run Japan's government for most of the past 7 decades. But since he's been at the helm, his party lost its majority in both the lower house and upper house, which is basically the same thing as losing control over both the House and Senate here in the U.S. And Prime Minister Ishiba says the time is now right to resign, since he's been able to strike a trade deal with the U.S., averting what he called a national crisis. Ishiba will continue as the country's leader until his successor is chosen. A teenager who was nicknamed God's influencer is now a Catholic saint. Pope Leo canonized Carlo Acutis yesterday in front of an estimated 80,000 people. That makes him the first saint of the millennial generation, elevating him to the same level as Mother Teresa. It's very rare since it can actually take hundreds of years to be recognized as a saint, and even most of the late popes have not been given that honor. Carlo was like other teenagers in a lot of ways in that he loved sports and video games. He also attended Mass, volunteered in Catholic soup kitchens, and developed websites for the church, including one documenting miracles. But he died from leukemia in 2006 when he was 15 years old. Since then, the Catholic Church has recognized miracles involving people who prayed to Carlo. Now the Pope says his story should be an inspiration, quote, not to squander our lives, but to direct them upwards and make them masterpieces. All right, we have more news for you still ahead. But first, a break to thank our sponsor, Cook Unity. As my fall schedule picks up, lunch can easily become an afterthought. Then suddenly, I'm frantically looking in the fridge with just minutes to go until my next meeting, and that never ends well. But Cook Unity has made lunch something I actually look forward to and can feel good about. Working from home, I can just grab a meal from the fridge, heat it up, and in minutes, I'm eating something that tastes like it came from a restaurant. I've had the quinoa-crusted salmon, a Moroccan chickpea and feta bowl, and a Mediterranean grilled shrimp grain bowl. All delicious, fresh, nutritious, and balanced. And get this, Cook Unity's roster includes award-winning chefs, Food Network alums, James Beard winners, the list goes on. And they all handpick their ingredients and create small batch dishes. I appreciate that they're fresh, not frozen. And I get all that without the price tag of daily takeout or time spent shopping, cooking, and cleaning. Just heat, eat, and get back to my day. Fuel your day with the freshest, best-tasting meal delivery made by award-winning chefs. Go to cookunity.com/newsworthyfree or enter the code newsworthyfree before checkout for free premium meals for life. That's free premium meals for life by using the code newsworthyfree or going to cookunity.com/newsworthyfree. Now, back to the news. Hawaii is under a statewide emergency as Hurricane Kiko churns nearby. Thankfully, the storm has weakened since that emergency was declared, so the worst impacts that were feared are not as likely anymore. But it's still a Category 2 hurricane, and Hawaii is still getting life-threatening waves along with some rain and strong winds that are expected to last through the middle of the week. As it moves north, Kiko is expected to weaken into a tropical storm. Still, people in Hawaii are being told to keep a close eye out for any changes in the forecast. Former President Biden has started making plans for his presidential library. He announced it will be built in his home state of Delaware, and he's tapped a group of former aides, friends, and political allies to raise money for it. The price tag for presidential libraries has been rising in recent years. Former President Clinton's cost about $165 million. Then former President George W. Bush's cost $500 million. And former President Obama's has topped $800 million. Raising that much money for Biden's is expected to be tough, though, since Democrats are already struggling to inspire donors and keep pace with Republicans ever since the last general election. Still, Biden's foundation says the newest presidential library will be a, quote, hub for leadership, service, and civic engagement. It's the largest payout in the history of U.S. copyright cases, and it marks a turning point in the fight between artificial intelligence companies and content creators. AI company Anthropic agreed to pay $1.5 billion to a group of about 500,000 authors and publishers. In other words, it's paying $3,000 a book and deleting all pirated works from its systems. The settlement also gives other creators the right to still sue Anthropic if they think the company's tech is reproducing their work without permission. And because this settlement is so big, legal experts say a lot of other AI companies will sit up and take notice, especially since many, like OpenAI and Meta, face lawsuits of their own. One lawyer even called it the AI industry's Napster moment, referring to rulings that ended free file sharing of copyrighted music and movies. But a judge still needs to approve Anthropic's deal. He'll consider it this week. There's a new number one in the world of tennis. Carlos Alcaraz won his second U.S. Open over the weekend over rival Jannik Sinner. This is actually his second win over Sinner in a Grand Slam final this year, and it means Alcaraz replaces Sinner on top of the men's world rankings. On the women's side, Aryna Sabalenka went into the U.S. Open as number one and solidified it with another win. She's now the first woman since Serena Williams to win 2 trophies in a row at the U.S. Open. Some of the music industry's biggest stars came together last night for the MTV Video Music Awards. Ariana Grande won the top prize of Video of the Year. Lady Gaga was also one of the night's biggest winners, taking home 4 trophies, including Artist of the Year. MTV handed it out right away since she had to perform a concert at Madison Square Garden on the same night. Sabrina Carpenter won Best Album, Alex Warren won Best New Artist, and Mariah Carey won the prestigious Video Vanguard Award and used her acceptance speech to jokingly call out MTV for not giving it to her earlier. Carey also performed a medley of some of her biggest hits, as did Ricky Martin, who won the Latin Icon Award. Plus, there was a moving tribute to Ozzy Osbourne, featuring stars like Steven Tyler, Joe Perry, Youngblood, and more. You can check out all the performances on MTV's YouTube page. Well, that's it for the main news. So now it's time for Money Monday, when we talk about one interesting money-related news story. But first, a break, because this episode is sponsored by Honeylove. When I think of what to wear to special events, weddings, holiday parties, or even speaking at a conference, it's not just the outfit itself we should be thinking about. What I've realized is that it's what's underneath that can make just as big of a difference. Honeylove's shapewear is designed with targeted compression that gives support where you want it and flexibility where you need it. It means I can slip into a dress and feel polished, confident, and comfortable without constantly adjusting or feeling restricted. And unlike other shapewear I've tried that seriously feels like armor, Honeylove looks beautiful and feels breathable. The fabric is sturdy but flexible, and I like that they consider the design, so I never feel frumpy. I also appreciate that it's made for every body type, celebrating natural shapes instead of just squeezing them away. Treat yourself to the most comfortable shapewear on earth and save 20% off site-wide at honeylove.com/newsworthy. Use our exclusive link to get 20% off, honeylove.com/newsworthy. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them, so please support our show and tell them we sent you. Experience the new standard in shapewear with Honeylove. Now, back to Money Monday. Today, we're talking about an unprecedented pay package for the richest person in the world. Tesla offered the deal to CEO Elon Musk that could potentially be worth $1 trillion. That's 18 times the size of his 2018 pay package that was struck down in court. Plus, it would give him more control over the company, even after he sold a big portion of his stock to buy what was then Twitter. Musk met with the board committee 10 times throughout the process to negotiate. It's meant to give Musk incentive to lead Tesla in the years ahead, since the agreement says he has to reach certain benchmarks to get the full payout. Like he has to expand Tesla's robotaxi business and grow the company's market value to at least $8.5 trillion. That's up from about $1.1 trillion today, and it's more than double the value of the world's most valuable company, NVIDIA. Musk says Tesla can hit that milestone and beyond with humanoid robots. Still, those are just a couple of the 12 milestones Musk has to reach. Of course, if he does reach them all, it won't mean just a huge windfall for Musk, but for all shareholders. But there are critics who say it gives Musk too much control. The proposal will be voted on by investors later this year. And if it's approved, it could set a new bar for CEO incentives that could be debated in boardrooms all around the country. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and for your support of the show. You can get ad-free episodes when you become a Newsworthy Insider. Start your free trial at thenewsworthy.com/insider. And Wondery Plus subscribers can listen to episodes of The Newsworthy ad-free in the Wondery app. We'll be back with even more news to know tomorrow. For now, have a great day.